Hey, good afternoon, Waycross family. This is your first of two city updates for the month of June. Um, and again, we're trying to stay consistent with these. So we're going to make sure we're doing from now on. So I got a few slides as always where I'll discuss a few topics. And and then we'll be done. Uh, when you look at the little short agenda, I do have on there community concerns. So I'm going to talk about one particular concern we had that we keep getting. So I'll address it this one time here as well, and then we'll kind of hopefully that'll put it in the bud and kind of end debate on that situation. So let's go ahead and get started. And of course, this will stay up as long as need be for anyone who wants to watch it, rewatch it. So we're always going to start first with safety, and this statement hasn't changed. It's the same statement that we had previously up about safety. You can read it for yourself. And the main thing being we're committed to safety. Our fire department, our police department, our public works, but really the entire city. That kind of drives a lot of our decisions. What can we safely do in operations during our day-to-day operations in the city? Some things you see in there about our investments as far as safety, as far as infrastructure, and again, even with trying to make things safe for you, we try to use data-driven analytics. So you can read those two paragraphs there for safety. Not nothing much has changed there in regard to safety. I just asked, and there's no slide for this, but I just asked, in your daily activities that you remain safe. We're still having a lot of accidents on our highways and byways that typically could be avoided if we would slow down, follow approved safety guidelines, safety traffic lights, and things of that nature. I'm not sure why we have I guess an urgency, or I say that's a bad word for it, but we consistently run stop signs, and red lights. We just can't figure that out. And that's something we got to improve on. But just be safe out there. So we're going to move on to the next slide, a few slides, which is going to talk about infrastructure update. So we just did a post a few minutes ago. You can find it on the city page, and you can see it on my page, where we're talking about some infrastructure improvements. In this case, we're talking about some dirt roads, and we did an update on dirt roads. And again, we get questions about that. So when they passed the 2023 SPLOST, one of the mandate was to get all of the dirt roads paved in the city of Waycross, its boundaries. So that's one thing that the then commission was championing, and the new commission, since coming on board, that's one of the areas they want us to work on as well. And we're doing a great job with that. Again, we should be done roughly late 26, early 27. I want to say we have probably like 20 dirt roads to go now. So we're doing really well with the dirt roads. So that's always going great. The slide you see right now that you're looking at right now, that's the slide on our paved roads. And I just want to reiterate how we do this one more time. So we had a town hall, I want to say last weekend before last, town hall with District 4. And in previous town halls, we always discuss our methodology behind road improvements. So again, just for those who might not know this, or who made the meetings, we kind of put this out. And this program that we discussed, it's going on about 3 years, and it's called Robotics. That's the program that we currently use. Now, yes, we are trying to find we have to find a different program because this program is sunsetting, meaning we got to get a different program, and we're close to finding an alternative one. But for right now, we're using this program plus GDOT data, that's road utilization, to kind of prioritize our streets and roads. And that's all 500 roads that we have. We have 517 roads. And that's how we kind of prioritize our roads. So we understand that, of course, and I mentioned this at town hall, excuse me, of course, everybody road they travel on, yes, it's gonna be the worst road to them. And additionally, on that list, we have our state maintained roads, which we cannot actually manage unless we work along with GDOT. So those are going to be at the end of the list. So we understand that. Like, if that's the road you take every day, of course you want that to be the best road. But unfortunately, not unfortunately, but we have to prioritize all our roads because we have a lot of roads that need paving, and that's what we're doing. So But July 1st, hopefully we'll have a new system in place, and then we'll reprioritize those roads again, and then hopefully everybody can keep up with this list. It's on our website. We'll start posting it monthly as well on our other platforms, so everybody can kind of be abreast of what street is coming up next. But you see that on the slide, right? You can see the robotics engineering assessment, that's the key input, and then traffic volume and usage patterns that's coming from GDOT. And of course, like one of our main priorities is going to be safety considerations, and a new one's going to be drainage and infrastructure needs. So previously, this didn't have as much, I guess, input, but moving forward, what we're going to do, if we have a major infrastructure project that we have to complete because we have a failure in a culvert or any other drastic failure, then we're going to go ahead and bump that street up a little bit so we can go ahead and pave it. So that's going to be probably carry some more weight as far as our measurements moving forward. So again, you can find the current list. Now, this is the current list probably up until July on our web page, and I think it's still on the engineering department's section, and you can kind of go down there, you can see it. All right. Next, we're going to move into the zones as far as infrastructure, and we're mainly in, I think, Zone 2 today, and you can see where the Zone 2 is. It's from Memorial Highway to Scrivens Avenue. And again, you can see the zones there. Just for clarification one more time, the zones 1, 2, 3, 4 are not reflective of the districts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These zone areas, these zone coverage, for the most part, contain at least 2 districts. In some cases, they contain, it can be 3. But these are cut in the quadrant style, and that's how we kind of do our operations from day to day. And like, again, today, we're in Zone 2. All right, let's get to the meat of today's presentations I want to talk about. So the first conversation is going to be about blighted properties. And those who watched the last commission meeting, we had a discussion with that. We brought Judge Gibson in to kind of share some of his concerns and his viewpoint on how he sees this process. And we kind of started the conversation there. So bottom line up front, we definitely got to make sure that policy, that we have shared understanding and interpretation. The policy is clear on what blighted property is. I think a lot of times, and what we're finding out, the interpretation is not so clear. For one, and this is another area that's impacted by inflation, of course nobody, or some people are incapable of making some of these deficiencies corrected because they don't simply have the funding. And I'll talk about that here later on through the slides. But that's part of the problem. But two, we have to have the policy because one, we want to create a safe environment for all residents. Two, we want to work on our aesthetics, for the city and for its appearance, so we can attract businesses and attract more people to come live here. So that's part of it as well. But the main thing is always going to be safety. And then we have to adhere to certain code standards for building maintenance and personal properties that is just a fact. And we can't necessarily just get around those because we want to. So I'm going to read some of this, but you can see it down the slide yourself. So, we get a lot of comments about the city's blight problem or policies and our efforts sometimes, or lack of effort. And like I say, a lot of times, back to my statement about the roads, if you can't see, like the roads, if it's not your street and not your neighborhood, then of course you're going to think a lot's not going on. But I can tell you a lot is going on, which I'll cover here in the next slide when I start, discussing some numbers. But again, for this first page here, there is a defined definition of blight that we go through our charter. Some of that is impacted or geared to some state and federal policies, and of course, all this comes from our charter. But again, we don't think the policy is the problem. Again, it's kind of interpretation by different entities, but more than that, it's a more of the reality of the enforcement. So we'll go over to the next slide. And these are some numbers. Like I say, they're not exact numbers. I tried to kind of just get some estimation of what we're doing right now. So right now, we're going to the summer months, so this is kind of low, but we have 400 active overgrowth violations And overgrowth, you can look in our chart to what that means. That's like, the grass and the trees and the vines, all these things that sometimes go undone on some of our properties. And the blight, like I say, blight can mean several things. You can have a car on the property, some old trash cans, some old furniture, a lot of things. But we have 200 active blight violations going on. Unsafe structure, and this is more in tune with some of the houses that are falling apart. When the roof is falling apart, a wall's about to collapse, the porch is unstable, all those things. And then miscellaneous code violation, those are just things that, trying to think of a great example. You might have a disagreement between two neighboring properties with a collapsed fence. That would be like a miscellaneous code violation because you're supposed to maintain your fence. And then again, demolition of properties. So right now, we're at about 118 plus or minus since 2022. The team has took great strides to get rid of those properties, but it is a complex situation even with the properties, which I'll discuss a little bit later on. But we believe these numbers demonstrate the city's effort as far as controlling blight. And again, everything is subject to interpretation, but numbers don't lie. The mayor said that it's the city. We're doing everything that we humanly can to keep the city clean, but there are some obstacles in the way that I'm going to explain here on the next slide. We go to the next slide. So, and we've openly talked about this at numerous meetings before. And again, this goes back to even meeting participation. If you don't come to the meetings regularly, or you don't watch them or archive videos, then you're probably not going to really be in the know of what's going on with the city, especially in this regard. But I want to kind of just touch on a few points here about the reality, how complicated it is to just get rid of blight altogether. So basically, we cut this into thirds. So 1/3 of our property owners, they want to comply, and we recognize that. But many times they have financial hardships, health concerns, probate concerns, meaning there's not an identifiable owner of their house, inheritance disputes, title problems, contract availabilities. Some of these properties, they have other liens on them that you don't know about until you go down that road, medical liens from a previous owner. So we know this part of our population really wants to do the right thing to maintain their property no matter what the situation is. And in those cases, we try to help. Judge Gibson mentioned this. I talk about it often, all the time. But there's only so much we can do. And we're going to talk about what else we as a community can do here in the next couple of weeks, because we're going to put some other programs in place. We're going to ask for some more volunteers. We already have some, but we need, frankly, about 50 more volunteers. And these are well-bodied, able volunteers, because there's going to be a lot of physical requirements to help the community out. That second group there, a third, these are the people that make no effort to do anything. They get in arguments with our code personnel. They get in arguments with Judge Gibson, and the violations continue. So for this group, we're going to take a different stance. Now, this is pre-decisional. I have not briefed the commission yet on this. But the commission has given me strict guidance to figure out this group, because this is the main violators who really make the city look like unkept. So we're going to put some new rules in place for this group moving forward, which we'll talk about probably over the next 2 or 3 meetings, commission meetings. And that last group, this is probably the hardest for us to figure out. This is the properties of the individuals who do not live in Waycross. And it is very hard to contact them, even if we know who they are. We send them certified letters multiple times, which they don't answer most of the time. And legally, if we don't get some type of authorization or take them to court, and you can't take them to court until they read the letter, and understand they got to go to court. Until we figure out how that process, it's not a lot we can do with them. Now, if you watch the meeting, Judge Gibson mentioned that as far as some of the city manager authorities in the charter, we could ask the commission to levy higher taxes or liens on these properties, which, again, this is pre-decisional, but I am going to ask the commission that we start that process. Take a year to try to contact individuals, and once that year is up, we'll just start putting liens and extra taxes on those properties, because at this point, that's all we can do. So either they kind of come on board or they don't. But we got to do something. And again, these are the three categories that we're experiencing right now as far as blighted properties. That leads to everybody's frustration. We know, like I said, back again to the first statement, if that's your neighborhood and the house is next door, and we really understand, and the house is probably on the list already. But if it's not, we understand your frustration, and we thank you for your patience in doing so. But we're gonna work hard. Like I said, we cut these into three sections, and we're gonna start implementing different strategies for these three groups of people that are causing our blight issue and concerns. Again, you go to the next slide, and again, it's kind of outlining some of our more irresponsible residents. With some of the rental properties, some of the businesses. Again, these are more closely tied to the owners not being in the city of Waycross or not being responsive. And again, we're going to get consistent policy on these individuals because these are not the group that want to work with the city to make things better, and we just have to take a different approach. And again, so I put in there selective enforcement creates legal challenges. That's more of even with the individuals who want to comply but they can't, we still got to hold them to a certain standard. But we're going to do everything we can possible to assist them, especially those individuals who might be elderly or injured and can't fix their properties up or address the blight concerns. And again, just in closing, our goal is not to punish anybody, a property owner, a rental owner, anybody. We just want to help Waycross be safe, first of all. That's the main reason, be safe. Then be aesthetically pleasing so that we want people coming into the community to live, play, and work. And then just the goal of just building our community up to be better. So that's the goal. It's definitely not to mess with citizens just because we can, because that's not what it is. But that all being said, like I said, over the next 2 or 3 meetings, next few months, we're definitely going to change course. We're going to change policy. In some cases, we're going to change how we implement these policies, and we're going to be more aggressive at people who don't want to be compliant so that we can really start addressing this issue. All right. And this next slide is talking about our great staff. They're doing some great work right now, looking at other ways to address the issue, other fundings to figure out some of our demolition issues. If you did not know, all the properties that we demo, that comes out of taxes, and that's just another requirement we don't really need to have. And it would be better if we had a different funding source, but that's something we don't have right now. But we're gonna try to keep looking for that stuff. So staff is working on these different ways to address the blight. Like I said, we are gonna change some policies in the near future to better address the blight. And we just ask that we thank you for your patience in this matter. We appreciate your understanding, those that understand, and those that need help. Please reach out soon. Even if you feel like you're in danger because of your health, that your property might become blighted, just reach out to the city so we can get ahead of these things before it gets to a point that it's unmanageable. All right. So that's that. So now I'm going to get to a community concern. And my staff is probably looking at me right now because I said I wasn't going to address this anymore. But I just felt like, I read, I didn't read some comments. People inboxed me some comments. And I'm going to address this one final time. And hopefully, we get some shared understanding and a resolution. When I first got here, as you know, we had a Facebook presence. And again, up front, Facebook is not our primary means of communications. It never was intended to be, and it never will be. But I did, in my effort to be more transparent and communicate on a broader aspect outside of our regular scheduled meetings, which at the time was the only other way we had to communicate with you because we had not yet evolved into what we are right now. We have 13 means for you to contact or communicate with us. So I did a big push for transparency and really over communicating on Facebook. like I said, with a goal of fixing some concerns about transparency or just not being informed. And to be honest with you, like I really enjoyed those days on my Fridays. We would get up and we would, you know, every Friday morning we would talk with residents about, with concerns, comments, suggestions, positive solutions, and we would get a lot of good feedback from the community. And I appreciate those residents who did that, because you know, they exercised their voice to make things better. We got a lot of ideas from those simple Friday interactions. And then we kind of progressed forward, with our updates, with more shared information. And it was going well. And then, unfortunately, it got to a point that it just became, I want to say the right word. I don't know. It became less of let's communicate and let's talk about resolving issues together, or let's point out some problems to the city and you fix it, or let's reach out to the city and then we reach out back. It became more of a let me project. I don't want to say hate, but I think that's how I felt sometimes, because there was nothing tangible on those discussions, and it got worse and worse, to the point we weren't talking about fixing things or highlighting the great team that we had, the great team that we have, or about fixing things or helping each other out in the community. All that just went away, and it became a let me insult you, let me curse you out, let me call you names, let me harass you, let me threaten you. And I'm gonna get a little bit verbal when I say this, in some cases, I'm gonna whoop your ass if I see you somewhere. And I know people see these comments, and because people like to say that wasn't going on. And I thought about, if we can go back to my slide, the other one I thought about like putting those comments out here. I could right now. I went back and looked at it. I got like 400 comments ready to go. But, I said that probably be childish on my part, to put those childish comments on Facebook. But it's almost like I need to, so people can understand kind of what was going on, And definitely the vulgarness. I mean, it was the vulgar language. I mean, how can you have a conversation with somebody who's cussing and screaming? It's just not possible. And it got to a place that it just wasn't effective for us anymore, And I made the decision, because I often see too, you got into politics, that's what it is. Well, I'm not into politics. I'm not a politician. Nobody on my staff is a politician. They are employees of the city of Waycross. They work like everybody else at Walmart, everybody else. So that part of the game, that's not their job descriptions, And like I say, it got to the point it was targeted at certain people, and I decided I wasn't gonna put that mental stress on my people anymore, And being frank, like I said, it don't bother us, those people that talk that way, and those childish comments and all that stuff, because I know what you champion. I know what y'all do clap for, And it's like we just need to stop communicating with each other, and then we'll focus on, communicating with everybody else who wants to see Waycross be better. And that's why we started all those other ways to communicate. So that's really why things kind of stopped, So in saying that, if you got a serious concern about that, I'm open to discussion. I'm gonna talk about this at the end of my brief today, but we can talk about it. I can show you all those comments that was going on. A lot of times we just we would put a request in the Facebook as bullying, harassment, to delete them, and they would for the most part. Sometimes they wouldn't. We have to leave them up. And again, I just don't understand. Do you think your freedom of speech allows you to just tell somebody, I'm gonna whoop your ass if I see you? I don't see how that's effective in any setting, And I know it's a keyboard warrior. I get it. Everybody says that too, and we realize all that. But again, my employees are vastly underpaid. They work extremely hard, and they don't deserve that type of language. We don't talk to y'all that way, so none of y'all should talk to us that way. That's just point blank. Everybody should be treated with dignity and respect. And again, if you were concerned about making Waycross better, then you be professional about it. That's just point blank. So I don't want to beat a dead horse, but that's what happened with that. It got to the point too. We were trying to always counter misinformation and lies. I don't know why that stuff kept coming. We pretty much answered every question that's ever put out there that people say whatever during the commission meetings. So, but I know no matter how much truth we put out there, it's some people that gonna push the narrative, and that's fine too. I've given that up. So you accept your truth, I accept my truth. I know we are backed by data 100% of the time, and I know that every day our workforce comes in here to make Waycross better. I can start throwing other stuff out there, about how far they go beyond their scope and duty. I was telling somebody else because some people still come in my inbox and say things. I would say this: you can send me a picture of a unhoused citizen. I would just ask that you stop and talk to that citizen and ask them if they need help. If you're gonna tell me I ain't doing, I'm not doing a good enough job with that, because if you don't know, it's only 2 or 3 of us up here who works with our unhoused population. Now we work alongside other agencies, but as far as the city's part, all through the winter months, we're picking up people, getting them to warming places. We're taking them to get showers. We're ensuring they eat. So we do a lot. So if you're gonna send a picture and then ask me how can I help, so I can let you know, that way. And that way you'll be improved in fixing the problem that you've identified. And that's how things are made better. That being said, again, like I said before, Facebook is not our primary means of communication, and I want everybody to understand now, we're moving away from Facebook. Our new web page is greatly enhanced. If you got any true concerns, you can go there. You can submit a complaint or concern. It'll get routed. We'll keep it up to date, and you'll get feedback if you leave your phone number and your email immediately, and the problem will get resolved. Also, and I talk about this in there are various other ways to talk to the city. But all that said, because like I said, I really want to nip some things in the bud, because we got a great new commission who are trying their best to work together to solve the city's problems with our other agencies in the city and the county that want to work together to better lives our Waycross. I will be at City Hall tomorrow, 5 o'clock. If you want to come and get an answer on all these other things you think you have not got an answer on, I will wait for you. I will answer it for you. If you feel you need to have it on Facebook so everybody can see that, audience, we can live stream it, whatever you want to do. And it's not like a debate thing. I'm going to answer your question with a fact and with data, and I'm going to move on. But I really want to just get past all this, because we got a lot of other work, a lot of other important work that we need to do for the citizens of Waycross, at least from my office, as guided by the commission. But yes, and we can talk about anything outside of anything that's currently going through a legal process, because I can't talk about anything that's with the courts. Anything else that you got, that you heard, that you saw on one of these other pages, somebody said, I'll be there. We can sit in the chambers. We can talk to you about it, because I really want to give y'all the proper answer. Because I feel like if you want the real answer, you would come to the meetings. You would call your commissioner. You would call us. We would use the app. But if you don't want to answer, and if you just come in to fuss or cuss or all that, then please don't come. I don't want to waste your time. I want people who really have a legit concern or an answer who want to come, so we can address the matter. And that way, we can either fix it, resolve it, or put a plan in place to fix it moving forward, if that makes sense. All right, that's what we're going to do. So again, 5 o'clock, I'll be sitting in the chambers, and again, we can live stream it, whatever y'all want to do, so you can be seen, you can be heard by whoever. We can do that. We can get these things addressed. We can get them properly answered. And once we leave, let me go back. In doing that, I just ask you come and be respectful. Again, we have never run from criticism. And like I say, we're here for this. We're here for this, for the city, for the community. So again, 5 o'clock. If you want to get some stuff answered that you heard, you seen, somebody posted some theories, some conspiracy, whatever it is, come and I will answer it. All right. In saying that, once that's done, I'm never going to address this subject again. And I just hope that we are mature enough, adult enough, professional enough, and care about Red Cross enough that we'll kind of quit that type of behavior. Like I said, I don't expect us to agree on everything. No, that's not even possible. But I do expect us to think together, be respectful with each other, treat everybody with dignity and respect, and come through some positive solutions if we want them. All right. So, after that, like I said, I'm just going to encourage everybody. If you can't watch our meetings, or you don't want to watch our meetings, you want to get information somewhere else, then you're going to get what you get from somewhere else. But if you want to be connected to the city and be, in step line with the city and help us be better, help us better the community, help us improve the community, help us take care of those who can't take care of themselves, then reach out in these ways. You can come to our meetings. Your commissioner, you can contact your commissioner by phone or email, and it's on the website. You can post it there. You can visit the city website, and the city website has other ways to talk. It has the online submittal form. It has a chat box. You will see other numbers and other emails for other departments that you can contact as well. It also has instructions on a various of topics that you need to know about. I mentioned last month, about why we don't pick up certain vegetation. People still have questions about that. It's thoroughly explained there. I want to say you can go in and look at the codes now too, to some degree, or maybe not. But we move all that over to that department too, so you can look on there and see what is this violation they said I'm doing, and to show you where it's coming from. You can follow the city's Facebook page. Of course, our main page is City of Red Cross, and then that's supplemented by my page, and then supplemented by department heads' pages. You can go to our YouTube, our Instagram, our TikTok. I think it's all the social media platforms we have. Yeah, you can go to all those. City app is a great tool that we still have. As far as notification of problems, it's geotagging. It's still an effective way to talk to the commission and the city. You can sign up. I think it just popped up on the screen here. You can sign up for our text platform. Well, it's text, email, phone call platform. And I can't even express how great a program this is, implemented by Director Simmons. So every time we have a water issue, a street issue, anything, you're going to get a text, a phone call, email notifying you of what's going on. And in certain cases, you get our weekly report that way. Any other report we got going on, so come out that way. You will always be informed of what's going on in the city. I mean, that's just the perfect way. It comes to you automatically. So, and of course, you can register up for our phone alerts systems. And of course, I talked about email and phone. And of course, you can call the city, 912-287-2900, the 417. And that phone will be answered. I will say that, if you just call with a problem, they might have to call you back, do some research, but they will get back with you. I'm always available in my office throughout the week, the weekend. If you would like to make an appointment after work, I'm there for that as well, to a certain degree. Your commissions are always available as well too. Although we actually just, of course, in the middle of the night, if it's not an emergency, just wait till the next day. But we're here for you. And then again, if you got some real positive suggestions, solutions, and you really care, then let us know, because we still can talk. I still get between our webpage, my inbox, email, phone call, about 30 interactions every day with residents. So we actually get more right now than we ever did when we was kind of more on Facebook more. So that, that the data says it's working better for us as far as communication. But that being said, knowledge, investment, nurture, growth make strong communities. And the 417 is where we make it happen. And I stand by that with my team. I got a great team. I'm going to close with this because I thought it was important. We recognized the employee for Employee of the Month this week. And, Chief said something. Chief Blackburn said, you know, this employee, when hurricane came, and we had many more employees. Not trying to get a feel good story, but I just want to talk about the commitment of this workforce to the city. When the hurricanes came, when the storms came, although they had family members, and some of them lost their homes during that time period, they got up, they got in their vehicles, and they went out and made the community safe. And that alone should mean they're owed more respect than we give them online. And again, you can not like me or this position or whatever, and that's fine. But the workforce, when you're criticizing whatever, I just need y'all to remember that. They, no matter what time it is or what the issue is, they get the call, they come, and that includes our police force. I know we got some concern right now that we're dealing with, but y'all can't see everything that happens. Y'all can't see the gang shootings and the drugs and all these other things that happen that they deal with every single day. So that's why we defend our workforce the way we do. Now, I'm not gonna say defend. That's why we highlight our workforce for the way we do, and that's why there's sometimes, we take offense to certain comments about our workforce, especially when those comments are unwarranted, false, and just lies. And that's when it becomes an issue up here. But again, in closing, like I said, I'll be here at 5 o'clock tomorrow up in 417 where we make it happen in the city chambers. If you got any questions, concerns, comments, or positive solutions, you can meet me there. We'll live stream it if need be, if we need an audience. If we just come there and talk about things practical, we're going to do that too. Hopefully we come there and have some solutions. I do have a list of some things I see that continue to be on Facebook that are untrue that I plan to address during that time. If nobody shows up, that's fine too. I'm giving you the opportunity to kind of come and get those things off your chest that you feel like the city has not addressed. And with that, I want everybody to have a great day. It's some great weather right now. Help somebody, care about somebody, show you love your community, and do something about your community, and have a great day.